Working Class Beer Reviews is looking at Guinness Draught Stout. Now, I don't believe I've done this before. I'll have to look at my catalog, but I had this one last can, and I'm like, I don't buy it very often, so there's a name. Down here in my dungeon. It's nice out today, but the wind's blowing, so the camera probably would have just picked up nothing but wind noise. So this is the normal, your regular Guinness Draught in a can. So I'm going to go ahead and open it and pour it. It's got the nitrogen widget in it, and you can hear that kind of open up as you crack it open. And I've got a dimpled mug here. I've seen gift sets around the holidays where they sell this with or give this with a pack of Guinness Extra Stout. So might as well just use that. I don't have one of those Nautic pint glasses that you would normally see Guinness in. You could probably use a regular pint glass like you see at a bar. I'm gonna pour the whole thing in there and let that do its cascade thing. You hear that widget in there? It's just like a little cylinder, like a ball. I don't know how it works in the canning process where they put that in, but at some point when the pressure releases, it allows that nitrogen. It's got liquid nitrogen or something in there, or nitrogen gas, and it causes the carbonation of the beer. So you got down here in the basement. It's pretty dark. You can see the carbonation working its way up, and it's got that nice, perfect head. So when you go to an Irish pub, there's like a process they do when they pour beer, where they pour it and they let it set up and then they top it off. And I actually watched a video about porters where they would do a mixture of both. They would do the carbonated beer that has its actual carbonation in it, and then once that sets up, they top it off with flat beer to give it the rest of the body. And I thought that was kind of an interesting process. So I'm guessing that's what originally happened with regular Guinness. So this is a 14.9 ounce can. So I don't know if that's what 500 milliliters is. If I have to look, I do not have my tablet. Brewed in Ireland by Guinness. So this is an Irish brewed one. There for a while, you were finding them in like New York and New Brunswick, Canada, and things like that. So Diageo, I believe, distributes this, or maybe he owns the brand for all I know. Brewed in Dublin, Ireland. 1759 is when Arthur Guinness founded the company. So imported by Diageo Beer Company USA, New York, New York. It says beer on it. Serving size 12 ounce. Serving size 12 ounce. I see. Never mind. So 125 calories, 9.4 carbs. So, not high, but definitely not low. Upon opening, the famous round plastic widget in every can unleashes nitrogen through the beer, creating the creamy head and iconic surge that's distinctly Guinness. To best enjoy, open the can and wait a moment for the nitrogen to release. Which we heard that. And pour into a glass tilted at 45 degrees. Watch the surge and settle, and then enjoy. I didn't do the 45 because I'm doing a dimpled mug. I don't know if that really makes a difference. And you can see on the camera at the beginning that it did the whole setup thing. So as far as I know, this is an all barley malt beer and dark roasted, obviously, to be a stout. A stout is a style of porter, as far as I know. And it's got a pretty, like a bone-colored head, not stark white or anything, but not like khaki or anything. So bone-colored head. And when you put it through light, if you're outside, you'd be able to see hints of brown and red through here. But I bet it's pretty highly filtered since it is a large company. And this is very, very popular, especially around certain holidays. But, people of Irish heritage like to tout that they drink this, even of English heritage. But you know what? Anybody can enjoy this. I've enjoyed this many times before. So what do we smell? Just faint malts. I don't know what kind of hops. I don't know what variety of malts it is. this may seem like it's expensive in the States, but over in England and Ireland, this is definitely working class. This is very, very common and probably not that expensive. So this was considered a working man's beer back in the time when this came about. It was meant to have a high carbohydrate count to be somewhat sustaining and satiating after a day's work. So let's give it a sip. Yeah, kind of just a mild sweetness with that toasty kind of flavor from the toasted malts, or roasted malts, you should say, when it's that dark. I didn't always like dark beers. Around the time I was like 23, 24, I started kind of getting a little more adventurous. And I remember I tried Guinness. I didn't care much for it. But the first Irish stout that I actually bought and enjoyed was Beamish, which I cannot find in my area to save my life. I got it at Old Chicago in Columbia, Missouri, it's a chain restaurant that serves it's like a pizza pub, but they got like numerous amounts of taps. And back then on Fridays or Saturdays, I can't remember, if you got the beer of the week, you would get a free like mug. So there's a few different times I've lost pretty much all the mugs. I think I have a Hofbrau mug or glass that I got, and you can't even see the label. It's just bleached off from washing numerous times. Yeah, I used to enjoy going to Old Chicago. It was a bit of a treat back then. First time I ever tried Blue Moon was at Old Chicago. Sam Adams Cherry Wheat, and this is all on tap. That was the thing. You could have all these things on tap. And this was before, the craft beer thing was coming along, but it hadn't quite taken over. So imports were still the big thing in the early 2000s. You could still get them pretty readily, all sorts of stuff. So back then you had the more original recipe of Bass before it, it was brewed in the United States as well. Trying to think of Murphy's Irish Stout. I can still get Murphy's. Used to be a Murphy's Red and like a Nitro Red or something like that. I can't remember. But the Murphy's is a lot like this, and so is Beamish. It has the widget, so it has that setup like you would get it at a pub regularly. So let's take another sip. Guinness is just ridiculously popular. If you haven't heard of Guinness, then you're probably just not a beer drinker. You don't care. So you've heard of it at some point. This is the base of a Black and Tan. A Black and Tan is a stout with like an ale poured on top of it. Or maybe it's an ale with the stout poured on top of it. And because of the nitrogen, I think the stout floats to the top. I think that's what it is. They pour it like over a spoon. They got a special spoon. They pour and put in the glass. So Black and Tans are pretty yummy. It's kind of a fun little party gimmick kind of thing, if you know how to pour one. I enjoy it. You can do it with Boddingtons as well, if you want a a blonde ale or something like that, because Boddingtons is kind of like a blonde ale, but it's got the nitrogen widget, which I can't find that anymore too. That stuff was delicious. So yeah, I can't find any fault with this because they perfected it, and they'll only continue probably to carry on as it is, and people will continue drinking it in high quantities across the world. This is popular all over the world. So you can't go wrong with a good Guinness once in a while. I think it's, I think for the 4-pack I paid like $8.49 for. They're not pint cans. So I'm guessing 14, almost 15 ounces must be in close to 500 milliliters. And sorry I didn't have the tablet pulled up, but there's enough information on here to kind of get the gist of it. If you really wanted to, do the research, I'm sure you could find out what kind of malts and hops they use and different things like that. So I've had I've had the extra stout, and I've had the foreign extra stout, which the foreign extra stout was a weird thing because there was a liquor store in town. They had it back in their beer cooler, and normally that stuff is like $12 a 4-pack, if not more, and it rang up like 3 something. So me and my friend, my buddy, we bought like all they had left. I think they had like 4 4-packs, like, so we each got 2. So we each got 8 beers and took them home and that stuff, I want to say it's like 9% or something like that. The extra stout is like 7. This is below 5. This is like 4. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize over in England and Ireland and stuff like that. It's not like the 5% standard like we have over here in the United States. Most lagers over here, and even ales are over 5% typically. 5% is like your benchmark. Anything below that's considered like a light beer. So over there, anything like around 5%, that might be considered a strong beer, which they have strong ales. I know strong ales can get a lot higher than that, but I think that there might be some tax reasons why they limit their strength on alcohol. But anyway, I don't know. Oh, here we go. I appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll take one last drink for you. Tell me in the comments what you think of Guinness, and I will see you guys later.